Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Very welcome to the first of actually a series of our webinars that we are going to be holding in Malta. So it's a pleasure and it's an honor to have you all here today joining for this webinar. So we're very pleased to have our guest speakers today. So I will briefly introduce. So we have Matthew from Malta Financial Services Authority, MFSA, and we also have Stefan Berry from MACO, Malta Association of Compliance Officers. So very briefly, the agenda for today, the way it looks like. So what we're going to do, we are going to have a brief presentation from Matthew about MFSA, what MFSA do, and what kind of the emerging landscape is, and what are the kind of the key things that are actually happening around the MFSA right now. So this is going to be very beneficial for all of the participants. Then we will follow up with another a presentation by Stefan Berry, who's from MACO, Malta Association of Compliance Officers, on the topic of the professional qualifications and having a compliance community and helping each other. There will be a brief presentation from myself as well. So our aim is to kind of have our presentations pretty much 8 to 10 minutes each. Afterwards, we will have a Q&A session with all of yourselves. So any question that you might have about MFSA, about Sigma risk, about the Malta Association of Compliance Officers, about the role of professional qualifications, how can it help in your career development, in professional development, etc., and what options are actually available in Malta if someone wants to pursue a career in the financial services industry and the regulatory compliance industry. So I do actually receive quite a lot of queries via the email time to time. So I thought that would be a good idea to actually hold this a briefing session between, where we can invite the compliance community within the Malta. So this is, as I mentioned, first of the, I hope very number of sessions that we are going to be holding in the future. Some of the sessions we already have started planning. After this one, like the session about sanctions, bribery and corruption, anti-money laundering, fraud, cryptocurrencies, betting and gaming and gambling, and the financial risk associated with these kind of industries. So without taking any more of the time, so I would invite our first speaker, Matthew, to please share what you have to share with us today from MFSA and your background perspective. Matthew, over to you.
Can you see the screen, please, Omar?
I can see the screen, thank you.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, Omar, for inviting me to this presentation. A brief overview of who am I. MFSA, I'm deputy head of the MFSA's financial crime compliance function. Graduated in 2009 in banking and finance with the University of Malta. Then furthered my studies as well with the University of Malta by completing the Masters in Financial Services Law. After completing also various certificates, I also achieved my ICA diploma 3 years ago in AML-CFT, and currently also reading another ICA diploma in financial crime prevention. Have worked also with the financial services sector with a local bank in Malta, and have spent my last 11 years of my career working for the Maltese Financial Services Supervisor, the MFSA. Experience ranging from the supervision of the security sector, the CSP sector, the funds industry, and during the last 6 years, I focused also on AML-CFT and the prevention of financial crime. In this presentation, I will be providing you with an insight from the regulator's perspective, the work which we are currently doing, the ongoing work which is being done as well by my colleagues. And actually, this is a question which needs to be addressed when it comes to raising the bar of compliance standards, not only by the industry, but also by the regulator. Regulatory frameworks, in fact, are constantly evolving across all sectors and around the world. And as transparency rises and its importance also rises, the costs of non-compliance with law and regulations also increase. Therefore, we all need to adapt to such changes by first and foremost raising the bar in compliance standards and education. On a national side, the heightening of the level of compliance culture within the private sector has become and still is one of the topmost priorities of the Maltese Financial Services regulators. To this end, regulators have employed their efforts towards increasing their outreach programs on a more permanent basis by increasing the frequency of their supervisory engagements, publishing several guidance papers, and also supplementing those guidance papers and documents where applicable to sector-specific training sessions, for example, which are directed towards the private sector, and other outreach events. All these initiatives are intended to actually instill a robust compliance culture within the Maltese jurisdiction by raising awareness to key areas of financial crime, amongst others. Criminal methods become ever more sophisticated at exploiting weaknesses in global financial systems. And simultaneously, the stakes for risks and compliance staff have never been greater and given increased tighter regulations. With recent changes in AML/CFT regulations, demands can only be expected to broaden. In such an environment, how can financial services regulators ensure that institutions actually avoid being exploited by criminal illicit purposes? The answer lies in the knowledge and how regulatory and the private sector staff obtain relevant knowledge, which enables them to actually perform effectively. And the collective knowledge of both the regulatory and the industry staff can serve to protect the jurisdictional financial services sector. And hence, thereby we'll be improving on the necessary controls the jurisdiction needs to be implementing. More AML/CFT compliance knowledge that both regulatory and the industry staff possess, and the better the jurisdiction compliance culture will become. Hence, the importance of their correlation. Today's dynamic financial environment actually requires staff to have access to much training as possible. In fact, we have issued as MFSA the Vision 2021 statement, and also complementing this document, the MFSA strategic plan for 2019 up till 2021, which actually focuses on the need to establish the Financial Supervisors Academy, which was actually established within the MFSA. This academy literally focuses on the need to invest in staff and human resources within the regulator, and actually transposing this knowledge to the industry by effectively communicating such results and also with effective supervision. Through this academy, the MFSA is also training young and upcoming financial supervisors, while at the same time providing the necessary experience to supervisors and the possibility to actually share the knowledge and grow and develop further. When it comes to raising standards, the MFSA has two core elements to its strategy, which is aimed to upskill AML resources and awareness, namely internal training programs and specialized training to FCC staff. This goes beyond actually training FCC staff because we have introduced various action points which cover actually all the MFSA staff members, which totals to approximately 450, and I will delve more in the following slides on what was done. The MFSA has implemented annual mandatory training to all staff members throughout the MFSA, And actually, this mandatory training focuses on the AML/CFT obligations and other awareness sessions. Training modules were actually sent to all employees, including top management and the board of governors, whereby they were required to undertake mandatory online training sessions, which covers aspects such as AML/CFT, global sanctions, and anti-bribery and corruption. Training was also delivered by my team when it comes to the submission of STRs, internal STRs, to ensure that every staff member is actually aware of the procedure that they need to follow if they encounter instances warranting reporting. Then we have also AML/CFT expertise and sectoral knowledge when it comes to the prudential functions. One of the requirements of the last Manival evaluation was the need for the MFSA to improve its outreach and the need to include AML/CFT components in its prudential and conduct supervision. This could not be implemented without having the necessary knowledge of what is required. Therefore, the FCC function was key in this process. We delivered training, we delivered forums, and we covered basically all areas, namely the CSPs, insurance, securities and markets, and banking and FIs. Obviously, these created more awareness internally. We discussed topics such as effective AML/CFT controls and also the MLRO function. And we had also sector-specific discussions which related, taking, for example, the banking sector, whereby we delved into specifications such as the risks derived from mobile banking, prepaid cards, and wealth management, for example. These fora have actually proven to be very useful when increasing the AML/CFT compliance culture within the MFSA's organization. Apart from that, continuous training also reinforces the MFSA's excellence value by supporting the staff to have the right competencies and quality combined with efficiency to demonstrate professionalism in collaboration with high standards. A one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to training, it's not sufficient, and holistically the authority understands that each employee needs to have at least a basic understanding when it comes to AML/CFT requirements. Still, FCC staff working in direct contact with AML-related matters actually warrant increase and more specific training. In fact, we have embarked on a project requiring all FCC staff members to actually getting specifically qualified on AML/CFT or other financial crime subject areas. In fact, the MFSA also encourages its staff members, even through financial incentives, to actually achieve additional qualifications to maintain their expertise by following further academic endeavors. Overall, this enables the team to actually remain abreast to what is required, to the evolvements of the industry, and to the emerging trends and typologies of financial crime. Finally, on a small note, I would also like to thank my colleagues at FCC, my teammates within the team, for doing a sterling job. A lot was achieved, but we'll continue to deliver for the benefit not only of the MFSA, but also of our jurisdiction. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. It was very informative presentation indeed. I think a couple of the key points that I would say that even I learned myself. The fact that MFSA that they've launched a financial supervisory academy, which is a great step that has been taken by the authorities in Malta to offer a platform for a continuous learning for all of the community within the Malta. Also, I really like your comment that it's a collaborative efforts by the industry and the regulators that we need to make. It's not kind of, a one person job to get everything done. It's a guidance and support from the regulators, and there is a commitment and an investment from the industry as well. At the end of the day, the goal, the aim for all of us is to kind of increase our knowledge, so we are in a better equipped to fight the financial crime and money laundering, etc. And I think the last point from key point from your presentation, Matthew, that the steps that MFSA has taken. So they say that always, if you want to fix the country, you need to start by fixing your home. So it is an absolutely amazing approach that what MFSA has done, like you mentioned, that kind of leading with example, that by offering even financial incentives for the staff members to get professionally qualified, which is important for their ongoing career development and having the better understanding and awareness about the challenges that we all face. So thank you very much, Matthew. It was a great presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we will move on to our next speaker. So I'll request Stefan Barry from MACO, Malta Association of Compliance Officers, to share his presentation with us, and we're looking forward to hear you, Stefan.
Okay. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes, I can see that.
All right, okay. So, good afternoon. I'm Stefan Berry. I have been involved in financial services for the past 20 years. I have served as compliance officer for a number of MFSA licensed entities, and I'm also one of the people behind MACO, the Malta Association of Compliance Officers, which puts together or gets together a number of professionals coming from the different sectors within the industry in order to have one voice, as much as possible, one voice for all compliance officers. My background is legal. I am a lawyer by profession, but I have always served within financial services and focused primarily on internal controls, specifically on compliance. Just to kick off a little bit about MACO, the association, who we are and what we do. MACO is not a very old organization. It's been around for the past 5 years, or 5 years, I would say. The idea behind MACO was that of having an association that is a bridge between MFSA and professionals and compliance officers. This was needed for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it's important as much as possible to raise discussion and raise awareness. As compliance officers, we cannot say that we are represented by other associations. Other associations have more or less different profiles or different agendas or different aims or goals. What comes closest is professionals in financial services, but then again, most of them are not actually the compliance officers who are actually doing the in-house work. And that was what is particularly important when it comes to this association, focusing on people who are actually the in-house people, the in-house compliance officer, the person actually doing the day-to-day compliance monitoring, compliance checking, compliance reporting for the organization. And as you will appreciate, as most of you coming from this particular sector will appreciate, we have a different set of requirements and a different profile, if you like, when compared to other professionals serving within the financial services industry. As an association, we do have our statute, we do have our also code of ethics. As an association, it's free for those to join whoever is coming from the financial services industry and is serving in compliance. You need not necessarily be a compliance officer. You could be also someone serving within the compliance team, for example. You can join. There's just an annual fee to go with, something small. But then again, we are still at early stages trying to push forward and have one voice amongst us especially when it comes to discussing, considering, replying and reacting to position papers, for example, consultation papers with the authorities, in order to have one voice heard also with other associations. In fact, as an association, we are also represented on the FIU Joint Committee on AML. So that is something we have achieved over the past year in order to show that we have representation and we have our own profile as an association. But most important, and this is where we need also to focus a little bit on who we are, our vision. Our vision is that of creating knowledge, creating awareness. We do appreciate that as compliance officers, as second line of defense, if you like, sometimes we do experience people who don't know, don't understand, still confused. We still have boards directors confusing legal with compliance. Unfortunately, that is something we still experience up to this day. So despite the fact that we have moved along and we have more knowledge, more awareness, we still have people, even within the industry, that do not understand who we are and what we do. And therefore, it becomes important to raise education internally amongst us, because it's a learning curve for all of us as we go along, as the industry evolves, as the regulation evolves. We need to be on top of it and understand what is going on and also guide. But we also need to teach and educate those around us in what to expect from us, so that we are aligned when it comes especially to expectations. As financial services industry, we do have members from different sectors. So we have people from investments, people from CSPs, people from credit institutions, from FIs. So we do cover the full spectrum of the industry. And obviously, we would like to see more people on board in order for them to also to represent the particular sensitive points, if you like, of their respective sectors. Because obviously, not all sectors have the same profile. They have the specific requirements, and therefore, the more we are represented, the more we represent, the more important it is for everyone to provide their own profile and their own requirements. Initially, way back in 2016, we had also provided an MOU with MITC. Back then, MITC was a setup closer to MFSA. We have, over the years, also provided our compliance forum together with PwC Malta, and touched on a number of important topics as we went along. So we do pay a lot of attention to education, and sometimes, yes, we don't talk enough about compliance. However, and this is where it becomes even more important, there is documentation, there is legislation. We do find references to what compliance is all about. So whereas 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you hardly found anything relating to the compliance function, nowadays, as we go through legislation, as we go through regulations, as we go through rules, even at MFSA level, even at EBA level, even at ESMA, IOPA level, we do find references to the compliance function. So we do have something to guide us, to provide us information. So it's important, and this is something that needs to be stressed quite a lot. It's important that we are aware of the tools we can bring on board to help us do our job. Yes, professional development. It's important. Unfortunately, most of us leave university without having the right tools. So we need to somehow carve our own niche and understand and bring on board our own tools to help us in our everyday job. We need to learn. We need to, yes, engage with online courses, face-to-face courses, eventually post-COVID, and other sources of information where we can learn, where we can interact, where we can also share experiences, because most of the time it's the sharing of the experience which helps us along. I myself, as I said, I've been around in this industry for the past 20 years. I still attend professional courses, and I still seek professional courses, because that is something which helps me in my own job. So possibly I will stop following courses when I'll actually pack up and stop doing financial services, because that is when you stop learning in this particular industry. As Matthew mentioned, the law evolves, the law changes, we need to learn, we need to evolve as the law evolves as well. So it's very, very important that we try to carve our own profile in what we want our career as compliance officers, as compliance professionals to be, what do we want it to be like. And it's important that we always take the approach or the perspective that I don't necessarily have to be a compliance officer in a credit institution and stop there. I can be a compliance officer today with a credit institution, in a few years' time with an insurance undertaking, some years later with a CSP, years later with an FI. So there is scope for development as a professional as well. Do not limit yourself just to one specific sector. I myself have moved into 3 different sectors within the industry, and I found that to be very beneficial to me. So I do recommend it also to all others. Something about compliance. It's very important that we don't, and this is a mistake most of us do, many of us do, also with MFSA. Compliance is not just AML. Compliance is not just GDPR. That is something we need to move away from. Compliance is much, much more. And I hope that the slide will help you understand that we are talking about a lot. And this is something we need to communicate also to our peers, also to the people around us. Compliance is about our license conditions. It's about compliance monitoring, compliance audit, if you like. It's about AML. It's about also other financial crimes, including anti-bribery, including fraud. So here we have it that we need to be wider in terms of our scope, in terms of our horizon. Do not limit yourself just to AML or to GDPR, and that would be just it. It is not that. It is much more, as you can see also from this particular slide. Our association with Sigma and with ICA. With ICA, we have already an existing relationship for those members. For those who are members, you can also automatically be included as an affiliate to ICA, but it's important to go a step further. We need to ensure that we are certified, that we add on to our list of qualifications as we go along. You don't necessarily need to go for a 3-year course or a 2-year course or a 1-year course. It could be a course running in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. That could be enough to help you and to demonstrate that you are being updated in what you are doing, and hence the requirement to seek certification, to continue training, and show that you are up to scratch with the industry and what is developing within the industry. Hence, it's good that MACO associates with reputable institutions, ICA, Sigma Risk, and we promote education, because ultimately in understanding ourselves and in helping others around us understand, it's there where we can move forward within this particular sector in the industry. Okay, so that's my presentation. Okay.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. It's an amazing presentation indeed. So you covered a lot. I think you covered half of my presentation as well. So I think I'm running short of my words now. Okay, but anyway, so I think a couple of very, very important key takeaways from yourself, Stefan. That and in any industry, it's always good to have a body that represents the industry to the regulators, to the governments, and they come and help each other. Like in UK, we have a forum called GIMLIT, okay, Joint Money Laundering Investigation a group. And then what GIMLIT does every month, the members from different financial institutions, different banks and insurance companies, they gather together in their monthly GIMLIT meeting, and they share the ideas. Okay, that is what we have seen over the last month, the new typologies, new threats, new type of challenges that we've seen. And then someone else might say, oh yeah, actually I've seen that as well. So suddenly people start knowing, okay, yeah, there is a particular trend which is going on these days. So it raises the awareness among the other members as well. they always kind of share the information with each other, sharing the best practices. So I think having a MACO in Malta, that's an absolutely amazing initiative, Stefan. That you guys are all there to share the knowledge, to help each other, and then also to actually if you all need to represent the industry in one voice, then you have a appropriate forum for that. So thank you very much for that. So as I mentioned, there will be a brief presentation from myself as well. So I will try not to take long. Please bear with me. Okay, so very briefly about IC and Sigma Risk. So myself, I'm the managing director of Sigma Risk, and we are actually a London-based consulting firm, but we do operate in different countries. And ICA, we have a very close relationship with ICA. In the coming slides, I will talk a little bit more about ICA and Sigma Risk and what kind of collaboration that we have between ourselves. Myself, my background is predominantly in the banking sector. So I have worked in a number of financial institutions on an advisory and consulting capacity. Few of the name to mention are like of BNP Paribas, Deutsche Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, ICBC from China, Lombard Odier from Switzerland. Also, I've worked with oil and gas like of British Petroleum and some other banks from Oceania, like Commonwealth Bank of Australia, etc. So my last 12 13 years been kind of quite busy working with a number of financial institutions all over the world. Recently, since the last 2 years, I've been associated with International Compliance Association as well as one of the faculty members. So I do teach on behalf of ICA their diploma classes, their other training courses all over the world. So from the Sigma perspective only, so far we delivered quite a few projects over the last few years. These are some of the countries where we've delivered some projects. Malta is definitely is there at the bottom corner. So we've delivered quite a few actually training sessions, even for the MFSA as well. So that was a privilege and an honor to have to be delivering these training sessions on financial crime, AML, sanction, etc. for MFSA. So, and then you'll see our experience is pretty much kind of diverse, going all over the world, going into the Caribbean, in the Cayman, in the mainland Europe, UK, Luxembourg, Czech Republic, Africa, Nigeria, Togo, Middle East, like Palestine, UAE, etc. So this is a bit of a background from our perspective. Some of the clients where we Sigma Risk, we have we've delivered some of the projects, some of the big names. As I mentioned, the MFSA, ICA, Deutsche Bank, BNP Paribas, Banco de Safra, etc. So some of the things that we do actually Sigma is, what do? We have I'm not going to take a long time here, just literally pretty much a minute and 30 seconds on next couple of slides. So we help organizations to kind of correctly identify the financial crime risk within their clients as well. So we've devised an algorithm which actually correctly calculates the financial crime risk of a client depending upon number of risk factors. Like you can see that here: country of incorporation, operation country, type of entity, regulatory status, products and services that are being offered between the clients, material negative news, involvement of PEP and UBOs, etc. But as I mentioned, I'm not going to spend more time on it. If anyone wants to know a bit more about the Sigma AML risk calculator, is a methodology that streamlines and structures the calculation of a risk associated with our counterparties. If anyone need any further information, please feel free to drop me a line afterwards. A bit more information, I will share the slides as well, so you can read a bit more about the Sigma AML risk calculator as to what it is and how it can assist organizations all over the world in effectively identifying the financial crime risk associated within their client base. We also deliver training masterclasses, a full day training class. We've done a number of masterclasses actually all over the world, ranging from the topics of like AML, CTF, bribery, corruption, sanctions, risk assessments, country risk, counterparty risk, etc. And then what we really try to do is to bring a life to the sessions, like having real life case studies, having examples, having polling questions, having videos, not kind of a boring half a day or full day exercise where half of the audience is sleeping. That's not what our style is. So yeah, if anyone wants to know a bit more about the Sigma masterclasses, please feel free to visit our website as well. So now actually I've got a couple of polling questions where I would like the participants to answer a couple of questions. So let's see what you think about the question that I have. First of all, the question number one, which should be there on your screen now. So did you know that Sigma Risk is ICA accredited training provider and official partner of ICA in Malta? So let's do pretty much 20 seconds on this question, and then we will close this poll, and then let's see what the outcome is going to be. Another 10 seconds. Okay, conscious of time, I will close the poll now, and I will share the results. So, and actually, a majority of you, I think 57%, you actually did not know that ICA is actually Sigma Risk is actually ICA accredited training provider and official partner in Malta. So I think it's good for me to know that majority of you actually were not actually aware of that. So thank you very much for your answers. So I've got another question coming up here. So did you know that ICA professional qualifications are actually awarded in collaboration with the University of Manchester? So is the interesting question. So let's see what is the majority of you think about this particular aspect of the ICA qualifications. Okay, I'll give another 5 seconds. Okay, now I'm sharing the results. So again, 54% of you think you actually did not know that actually ICA qualifications, they're not a standalone qualification. They are actually quality controlled by University of Manchester, UK. So they are awarded in collaboration with the University of Manchester, UK. So the third question that I have here is, I'm going to launch here now. So did you know that ICA qualifications are actually eligible for funding of up to 2,000 euros under Get Qualified scheme by the Ministry of Education in Malta? So up to 2,000 euros, or I think a maximum of 70% of the value of the qualification actually can be actually refunded in terms of the tax credits by under the Ministry of Education Get Qualified scheme. Okay, let's share the results. So we're getting pretty much consistent 54, 55, 57% results to the no side. So again, 6% of you think that actually you didn't actually know that an ICU qualification, you are eligible to get the refund from the Get Qualified scheme as well. I will talk a little bit more about this scheme shortly in my coming slide as well. So literally that is the last question now. Should be on your screen right now. Do you know that Sigma Risk, we offer ICA qualification in Malta on reduced prices under special ICA Sigma partnership? So as part of our relationship with ICA, we wanted to add value in Malta. So we've negotiated that we will actually, we will assist and play a little bit, whatever role we can play in Malta to make ICA qualifications more affordable. They are pretty affordable given the fact that almost up to 2,000 euros can actually be refunded to the Get Qualified scheme anyway. But otherwise, we offer reduced prices as well. So let's share the results. 69% of you actually did not know that the Sigma Risk prices for ICA qualifications are actually lower than what is the price on the ICA website. So ICA, they have their own prices for the qualifications all over the world, even for Malta, but Sigma risk prices are always going to be lower under our special discount agreement with the ICA for Malta. So thank you very much. So these are all the polling questions that I had. So that they do give me a very good insight as to how much knowledge and understanding we have already about ICA within Malta. So now what I'm going to do, next 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, I will speak a little bit more about ICA, and then we will open the floor for any question that you might have. So please feel free to raise your hand when it's time to ask the questions, and then we will unmute yourself, and then you can ask the question, and we'll try our best to answer the question that you might have. So briefly, like Sigma Risk, we are actually a partner of ICA in 4 countries. Currently in Malta, in Africa, and Nigeria, Pakistan, and India. So these are the countries where we have special agreements with ICA to raise the standard of education and qualification within those 4 countries. In Malta, we are offering all of the ICA qualifications, including ICA certificate, advanced certificate, specialist certificates, ICA diplomas, and as well as the ICA professional postgraduate diplomas. So if anyone need any further information at all about ICA qualifications in Malta, then please feel free to reach out to myself. A bit more about ICA. So ICA is one of the biggest professional body all over the world who actually offer compliance qualifications. And ICA qualifications are actually recognized all over the world. So more than 150,000 professionals actually have received certification from ICA since the ICA's incorporation. As I mentioned, that all of the ICA qualifications are actually awarded in collaboration with the University of Manchester, UK, and we have a world-class teaching faculty as well. So it's not all about kind of signing up for a qualification where you get a login and ID and then you read something on the internet and then you do a multiple choice question and then you pass or fail. Now ICA approach is very different. Our approach is that people learn from other people. So we for almost all of the qualification levels, we have classes at teaching and training sessions available as well, which are available to all of this. For example, all the advanced certificate, international diploma, professional postgraduate diploma qualifications. So the teaching classes take place in a time convenient for all the participants, and then the teaching faculty are mostly the bankers or regulators or the people from the law enforcement or from the gaming industry sometime, etc. So it's an absolutely amazing opportunity to learn through the ICA qualifications. And also we could offer the workshops even in Malta as well. If any of organization in Malta, they want to say, for example, get few of their staff members to do ICA certificate or a diploma, then we can actually come in Malta as well and deliver the workshops in-house along with the standard qualifications as well. Again, ICA qualifications, there are different levels, starting from the certificate level, going to the specialist certificate, advanced certificate, diploma, and the professional postgraduate diploma, depending upon where you are in your career. But this is just, I would say, an indicative. I know a number of people at the start of the career after university graduation, they go straight for the advanced certificate, they go for a diploma as well. So this is just kind of a trajectory that ICA has produced, that grow when you grow within an organization, grow within your profession, then this is probably a good way for you to keep enhancing and digging deeper in terms of what level of qualification that you choose for. Again, a little bit more information. I'm not going to go in further detail because I will share the slides as well. Certificate, understanding level, advanced certificates, applying, enhancing in specialist certificate on, for example, on TBML or crypto, etc. And the diploma, where you're managing a team, you're responsible, and here is you in a leadership function. Most of the time, our candidates, they prefer to have a professional postgraduate diploma when they are in a leadership capacity. Some of the clients where ICA, they actually, these are the clients, some of them who actually have adopted ICA qualifications as the kind of main professional qualification service providers. I'm not going through the names here due to the shortage of time. And again, in Malta, as I mentioned, Sigma Risk, we are not we're not kind of a reseller of ICA qualifications. We are ICA accredited training provider, right? So we can design the qualifications, we can design the workshops to suit the needs of our clients in Malta. For example, if there is a client from a gaming industry, if they wanted specially certificate designed for them for the gaming, then we can bring in the local knowledge and local context and references to the local case studies or local regulatory requirements within the workshops as well, while we try to maintain our global gold standard for across our range of our qualifications. But through the workshops, we always tend to customize and bring in the local aspect as well within the experience that we share with the students for the ICA qualifications. Right. Okay. So I think a couple of key features here. As we mentioned, we've got special discounted rates. We've got investment installment plans as well. So I think for ICA advanced certificate level, there could be up to 4 installments. For ICA diploma, we could arrange up to 8 installments. And for professional postgraduate diploma, if someone's finding it difficult to pay all in one go, then of course we can arrange up to 10 monthly installments as well. So that is, I think, pretty much all about ICA. Just a snapshot from the Malta, the Get Qualified website as well, where you can actually validate that all of these ICA qualifications are actually eligible for the funding through the Get Qualified scheme. Myself, I'm ICA faculty member. If anyone would any time have any question at all, please feel free to contact me about any ICA qualification, or generally as well. If you have any question, I'm more than happy to be available for all of you. And Malta, from ICA perspective, is my jurisdiction, and I have a very strong connection with Malta. So I'm more than happy to come and assist anyone, and at any time, please feel free to reach out to myself. Okay, now here is one thing that I spoke to ICA yesterday. I said to ICA, look, we are arranging this webinar, and all the webinar attendees that who are going to be joining in, I want to do something for them. So one thing that I've done, I have actually secured some excellent discount on all of the ICA qualifications for anyone who enrolls for any ICA qualification by 31st of May. So for example, ICA diploma, normal standard retail price for ICA diploma is 3,905 euros. But if you book through Sigma Risk for until 31st of May, the price is only 3,420. And if you're eligible for the Get Qualified discount of up to 2,000 euros, so that cost pretty much remains around 1,420 euros. So that is pretty much you're getting a qualification worth nearly 4,000 euros in pretty much 1,420 euros. So there is a really good I think opportunity for the Maltese compliance community to benefit from these partnership that we have with the ICA. We're making it more affordable, more reachable for all of our community in Malta to benefit from the professional qualifications. And then I think, yeah, that's it. So questions, anyone's got any question? Myself, Stefan and Matthew, we're here to answer the questions. Please raise your hand and I will unmute yourself, and then please feel free to ask the question, and then we can take it from there. Okay, so far nobody has actually raised their hand. So in the meantime, while someone might be thinking about in their head forming the question, Stefan, Matthew, do you want to say something further? What kind of any message that you want to give from MACO perspective or MFSA perspective to the community in Malta?
Let me go first. Two small things, practical things. When are the courses held? Is there a schedule, or is the schedule open?
Right, certainly. So the certificate level courses, excuse me, and all the short courses, they are open all throughout the year. So anyone can enroll anytime, because ICA short courses and certificate level courses, they are self-study. So you enroll anytime, and you will get a login username and ID from ICA. You'll get an ICA membership number as well. And then within a certain time frame, like I think for ICA certificates at 3 months, you complete your studies, and within 3 months you sit an exam. And if you pass the exam, then you will get an ICA certificate in whatever subject area you've chosen. And as I mentioned, ICA certificates are actually awarded in collaboration with the University of Manchester. So that's a great opportunity to have such a prestigious qualification in a shorter time. And then we have the advanced certificate and the international diploma and professional postgraduates. All of these levels, they have certain intakes. So every quarter there is a new intake for ICA advanced certificate and diploma. And I think for the professional postgraduate diploma, it's only two. Either you do it in spring or in autumn. But for ICA advanced certificate and ICA diploma, there is a cohort starting every quarter. So currently at the moment, so the enrollment is open for the summer intake, which is actually starting in June, July time.
Okay, I'm mentioning this because at times, especially when people move from one organization to another, and also seek their PQ, their personal questionnaire approval with MFSA, sometimes, yes, it becomes of the essence to go for a course and upgrade the profile, and therefore it becomes easier if you can go for the course ASAP rather than wait for the next quarter or the next half year to come by. So it's important that the courses are available. With regards to certification, do they expire?
So I think that's a very good thing about ICA. ICA certifications do not expire. Okay, so that is a very unique feature. It's same like I've got an MBA from a university. So my university will never come and ask me to do a MBA 3 years later again if I want to use the title as an MBA. Right. Similarly, because ICA qualification, they are actually quality controlled by University of Manchester. So when someone receives an ICA certificate, it will have a ICA stamp as well as the University of Manchester stamp as well. So nobody's going to take that away from you. So if someone's got an ICA diploma, they have it diploma for life. So they don't really the diploma doesn't expire. Okay. So we got a question from Harun Khan. Harun, I'll unmute yourself. Please feel free to ask your question.
Evening, everyone. Thank you for the presentations you delivered. They're very, very informative. Amar, I know you're a tutor for the ICA. In your experience, what have students found most enjoyable about their courses and most challenging?
Thank you, Harun. Yeah, my experience for as a teacher with the ICA, the most enjoyable thing with ICA qualifications is the opportunity to learn from the the tutors or the teachers who've got years and years and years of experience. Right. So as I mentioned, like for ICA diploma, there are at least 4 master classes. So who are the people who actually deliver these master classes? The most of the time, the regulators, they're going to be ex-bankers, they're going to be, from the law enforcement, NCA, from the investigation, MI6 sometime, Interpol, Europol. So these individuals who have a very kind of, a history of a professional background and a wealth of experience. And I think this is the most important feature of an ICA qualification, that not only you study the study material, but also you have an opportunity to time and time and again throughout your duration of your qualification to learn from the experience of the people who actually you're going to be interacting during the master classes. And I think that the challenging thing which a student might find is that ICA approach is not kind of a tick box approach, that okay, you sign up for qualification and it's kind of pretty much a very easy journey, and then you go and get qualified by ICA, right? ICA qualifications are thorough. ICA qualifications are in they do cover quite a lot of material and knowledge and understanding. And the challenge is that to balance your, for example, professional commitments as a full-time staff member or part-time staff member, for example, most of the people who go for ICA, they will be professionals, and then carry on learning and reading ICA material and preparing for the assignments, because for ICA qualifications for the advanced certificate diploma, postgraduate diploma, you will have to complete the assignments. The topics are given at the start of your qualification, and then you'll have to work for another 2 or 3 months to write an assignment on the particular topic. You will get all the support from your teacher, you get the support from the faculty, you get the support from the ICA admin team as well. But it is something that I would say ICA qualification, you can't just achieve it by granted. And okay, that's fine. You sign up and then you answer a couple of multiple choice questions, and that's it. You pass or fail. It's a proper education, I would say. Thank you, Harun. Matthew, do you want to say anything to
yes,
the participants?
maybe one final comment to add on my presentation as well, and to add what Stefan was actually mentioning. The need to actually get qualified and get the necessary qualifications when it comes to the authorization process. The message we need to convey in the industry should not be that in order to submit your PQ, you should be actually qualified. It should be a natural process, an ongoing process, and the need to actually instill this compliance culture, as I mentioned earlier, is not limited to the private sector as well, because we as regulators, we are doing the same thing. So it's not a question about the industry that they should be getting the necessary qualifications, but same applies to us. To supplement this, the need to obviously get the necessary ongoing training, which is provided by, not only by the MFSA, but also by other authorities. It could be helpful to actually supplement your qualifications and to obviously make sure that the necessary guidance papers and documents which we are issuing on a constant basis are adhered to as well.
Thank you, Matthew. So I think it's pretty much 4 minutes to go, so we're pretty much on time. So if anyone got a question, please feel free to ask now. You got pretty much a minute or two. Otherwise, we will be closing this session, and then I think I'll wait for another few seconds. If anyone got a question, from my perspective, I think I echo Matthew's point that having a professional qualification it's not something kind of we should be thinking about kind of a tool to get somewhere. The most important thing is that we should be taking it like as a personal development, something that we are investing in ourselves. Okay, so the better we are equipped to identify a risk, the better we are equipped to mitigate the risk as well. So if we don't know, then we won't be able to stop. So I think one last thing that I would like to say, my recall when my first day in university when I was studying MBA, our lecturer he mentioned to all of us that okay, we will teach all of you guys every way to commit a fraud in a bank. And we were thinking, why is that? We were studying MBA in banking and finance. Why would they teach us to commit fraud? Okay, we here to learn something else. But then eventually, there was the naive days in the university time, and then they explained, look, if you don't know how the fraud can be committed, you will never be able to stop it. For you to be able to stop it, you need to know what to watch out for, what to look out for. I think this is same for the professional qualifications as well. So investing in yourself, knowing what's happening all over the world, knowing the best practices, learning from each other, and then broadening your horizon of how you think in a particular scenario. And these are all the things qualifications and specialist training, they do aid our learning as well. So I think that is all from my side. So I really thank Matthew and Stefan for joining us today, and most importantly, thank you everyone who actually attended this webinar as well. So I wish you all have a very good evening, and then I'm looking forward to hold another session soon, and then I hope to see all of you again in the near future. Thank you very much. Have a very nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.